morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Hope everybody's feeling good today. Wow. Oh, you kind of jumped the gun there a little bit faster than usual. Thanks so much for tuning in to the show. If you are a regular to the Wake Up America show, you know the drill. Make sure you click that like button on the stream where you're watching us so that we can help spread the message of economic freedom and personal liberty. Nice to see everybody here today. Andy Opperman, Steffi P for Liberty, my lovely bride. Buddy Mansour is here with us today, and Hikaru K, who we haven't seen for a while. Sean Burridge is joining us here today. Nice to see you, Sean. Michael Nip and Caleb Vanderfelts. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you. Of course, if you're over on Rumble, I think you got to be signed in to click that like button to help us get out in more people's feeds. We'd be glad to have your like there this morning. And of course, drop a comment as well. Fed Up Kentuckian, Mr. Embry001. Kermode Bear is joining us here this morning. We're going to have a great show for you today, and I think you'll really enjoy the topics that we're going to get into. Starting at the top of the show today is work requirements for welfare. Why are people whining over work requirements for welfare? It's not like it's something new. As a matter of fact, I did some research yesterday on work requirements and welfare in American history, and some of them might actually surprise you where they originated. We'll talk about that at the top of the program. At 7:18 this morning, I've got a couple of interesting stories about some youngsters on both sides of the spectrum. The Democratic National Committee apparently pays some of these young TikTok influencers to talk about Democratic politics. But this youngster who has like 600,000 TikTok followers is out on Twitter saying, I am not paid by the Democratic National Committee to go out and say what I say. And there's this new feature on Twitter called Community Notes, where essentially the community can fact check you as long as you have sources. And, well, let's just say it was a bit of a bloodbath. Stop, he's already dead. It was pretty funny. I'll show that to you here in just a few minutes. We'll talk about it and we'll laugh. Another one, a youngster, a middle schooler, actually yesterday spoke in front of his school board about why he was forced to change his shirt that said there are only two genders, which I thought he actually did a really good job explaining why he wore the shirt and about disruption in school and his free speech rights. We'll talk about that this morning, and I'll play that clip for you at 7:18. At 7:30 this morning, the title segment of the show, Dominic Izzo is a retired Chicago police officer and a podcaster as well. He's joining us this morning at 7:30 to talk about why the Republican and Libertarian love for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I read an excellent piece yesterday in Reason Magazine by Matt Welch titled The Very Strange New Respect for Authoritarian Democrat Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Matt Welch writes that the enemy of your enemy is not your friend. He's a guy who might want to throw you in jail. We'll talk about the reasons why so many young people, excuse me, why so many right-wingers and are interested in the Kennedy. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Tully Owens threw me off with her comment over on the live stream. She says, youngsters, LOL. You have to say that word with an old man voice. You got me, Tully. Yeah, those youngsters are... start sounding
America
like this guy here.
Is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
Oh, you youngsters. Oh, goodness.
She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her, like a little lady with her legs crossed.
Oh, God. Cringe. Good morning, Tolly, as well as Quest Fanning. Nice to see you there today. Glad to have you here. We'll talk to Dominic Izzo this morning. I met Dominic through this new platform that I'm actually streaming at this morning as well, the Boxcast platform, which is a new freedom-based streaming platform that's out there trying to make waves and to spread their own message of freedom. And I'm really excited to be a part of that network, and that's how I met Dominic. So I'm looking forward to introducing you to him today. He'll be joining us at 7:30 to talk about RFK Jr. And then I might ask him about Trump versus DeSantis, ask him about what he thinks about the situation in Chicago. And I actually saw that he's a Kung Fu expert, so I might talk to him about that just because I happen to find that interesting. At 7:51 today, did you see that interview with Michael J. Fox where he sat down talking about his Parkinsons? And the headlines that were coming out of this story was that apparently, he thinks he's not going to live to be 80 years old. He's 61 years old now, and he says he's not going to live to be 80. And that was the headline everybody ran with. However, I thought the most interesting part of that interview was where he talked about how he thinks he contracted Parkinson's, because he had this really interesting quote that I'd like to share with you. I'll just do it real quick right now. Genetics loads the gun, and the environmental factors pull the trigger. That was an interesting quote to me. So we're going to talk about that this morning at 7:51, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. At 8 o'clock this morning, Camelia Peterson joins us for our regular Tuesday segment to talk about why Republicans need to win the suburbs and why Nancy Mace can show them how. Yesterday, GOP Chair Ronna McDaniel said that the problem with the Republicans, the reason why they lost, is not because they needed independence, right? And it's more just, God, what can I say? It's just more Republican circle jerking. I'm sorry to use such an explicit term so early in the morning, but the fact is the Republicans are not learning their lessons from these failed elections. They want to point the finger at anything but having to change what they want to do. And I get it. Nobody wants to change. Nobody wants to have to change up their strategy. They don't want to change their leadership. They keep putting that Ronna McDaniel Romney chick in the head of the Republican Party, even though she presided over how many losing elections. So I get it. Nobody wants to change, right? Nobody wants to be the change. Everybody wants change, but nobody wants to change, right? I get it. But we'll talk about that with Camelia Peterson this morning when she joins us at 8 o'clock, and I'm looking forward to that. At 8:23 this morning, the godfather of AI quit Google and warns of the danger of unrestricted artificial intelligence. We'll talk about that in light of the news that IBM says that roughly 7,800 jobs could be replaced with artificial intelligence. We'll talk about that at 8:23, and then at 8:35 this morning, BX Bullet joins us for our regular Tuesday segment to talk about a potential serial killer on the loose in Austin, Texas. We'll talk about that at 8:35. But before we do today, I just want to say, don't ever let it be said that AP didn't do anything for free. Today is the day that we get to announce the winner of the AK-47 rifle. Yes, that's right. The AK-47 patterned in 9mm rifle. We are super excited to announce that we do have a winner that was drawn at random, and we are ready to announce it. Are you all ready? Yes, I think you are. So I actually see that the winner of the gun is here with us today in the live stream. So I'm sure you all will be excited and ready to congratulate Matt Unruh. Matt, you are the winner of the AK-47 rifle pattern in AK-47 pattern rifle chambered in 9mm. So the good news is that if in case you already have like a 9mm Glock, that gun will actually take mags from your Glock pistol. You are going to get that AK-47 rifle in the mail. It will go to a local gun store where they will be required to conduct a federal criminal background check. Yes, I know. It's not my law. I didn't write the law. I'm not the person who believes in background checks, but congratulations to Matt Unruh. And honestly, kind of hate you a little bit, Matt, because I really wanted it for myself. I wanted to keep it. But I promised I would give it away, and that was in honor of Joe Biden's push for gun control, and I got all mad about it and decided that I would buy a gun and give it away to someone who is a subscriber to the show. And certainly Matt Unruh is a big supporter and a subscriber, and we're grateful to have him as a supporter of the show. That's what you get for being a supporter of the AP for Liberty show, the Wake Up America show. So here's the thing. If you want to be entered into awesome contests like that, become a monthly sponsor to the show. Over at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. I saw we had a new friend yesterday. Libby signed up to be a monthly subscriber. And before I get into the program real quick, and I know people don't like to hear advertisements or begging or whatever it is, but I just want to tell you, I'm back on the phones again this week, Stephanie and I, calling to ask people for monthly subscriptions because, my ambitions are endless. My cash is limited, right? And I really want to create a strong base of support, knowing that there really just aren't many people out there who are broadcasting these views and doing it in a manner that I think is accessible to the American people. And the Wake Up America show is really the first step in moving towards what I want to create, which is long form documentaries, more than just my 1 minute history videos. If you like my 1 minute history videos, wait until I can, afford to do 60-minute history videos. But I've got film scripts that I'd like to do, and I want to basically build a libertarian daily wire. Because have you noticed that obviously there's no libertarian mainstream news networks? There's one right wing conservative network that has some libertarians sometimes. And then in the alternative news space, in the alternative media space, yeah, there's a lot of libertarian podcasters. But in terms of like a libertarian network, it just doesn't exist. Like you could say, oh, well, there's the Blaze, or there's Ben Shapiro's outlet of the Daily Wire. But the thing is like, it's usually theocrats, right? It's usually theocrats or neocons or typical right-wing conservative types and things like that. I am a libertarian, and I think it's time for us to have a liberty network. More shows like the Wake Up America show, finding people like Eric July out there and raising up that talent and giving them their own shows and monetizing that content, and then building up our own liberty network. If that sounds like something that you want to be a part of, then I want to beseech you today to sign up to become a monthly subscriber if you are not already. If you're saying to yourself, Austin, I know if I do the YouTube thing, they're going to take 30%. You can give 100% of your monthly subscription if you go to the wakeupamericashow.com/support page. Just wakeupamericashow.com/support. Sign up to become a monthly member. I want to ask you to become a member of Peterson's Patriots. That's $17.76 a month, which ought to tell you what we stand for and what we're fighting for here at the Wake Up America show. This is the beginning, the incubation phase. The next phase is to move into longer form documentaries, to actually cast actors who look like our heroes of liberty, put them on sets, put them in costumes, get them in front of a camera, and to bring our stories of liberty to life. Because if we don't tell our stories, our enemies will, or our stories just won't be told. All right, let's start this show. It's time to talk about the news. Why the whining for the work requirements for welfare? House Republicans, I think, were right on the money in putting a modest work requirement for some welfare in that debt ceiling deficit reduction bill that they passed last week. And the savings, which is about $154 billion over the next decade, may not actually be the most important aspect of the bill. So equally as important in that bill is the work requirement, right? I mean, work is, in my opinion, right at the heart of the well-being of anyone, and that's true for pretty much everybody, no matter how well or bad off you are, right? Everybody can benefit from having a job and taking some stock in some pride in yourself and some pride in your work. I don't care if you're the richest trust fund baby ever out there, get a job. I don't care if you're the poorest non-trust fund baby out there, pit bull mama, your mama was a pit bull owner. Get yourself a job. What are you talking about, pit bulls, Austin? Well, you haven't watched my you probably haven't seen my memes that I've been posting over on Instagram these days. I've been posting a lot of good anti-pit bull memes these days. It's really been driving people insane. Anyways, it's the dog of the 400 credit score. Connecting welfare to a work requirement is the moral thing to do, discouraging dependency on government and nudging recipients into becoming self-sufficient. Even though the bill only applies rules to childless, able-bodied adults aged 18 to 55, the progressive howls of outrage over the bill treat work requirements as a crime against humanity, please. West Fanning over there making too much sense for this early in the morning. He says that if you physically can't work, you'd already be eligible for Social Security. Thank you, Quest. Exactly. And Chris Morrill says, I remember one Michael Moore film, forget which. Half the movie was basically, how dare Republicans make this poor lady work? Oh no, it's like it's the worst thing in the world. You have to get up in the morning and go to work like the rest of us, right? But the fun fact is the American left has always hated welfare reform in this vein. But do you remember the hysterical predictions of doom over the bipartisan 1996 reforms, right? The New Republic wrote back then, wages will go down, families will fracture, millions of children will be made more miserable than ever. Oh God, oh no. Terrible, terrible. But what happened? Actually, poverty rates sank, including for Black Americans. Poverty amongst single-parent families fell by 2/3. Work welfare requirements. Fascinating stuff. Oh, the humanity. The Urban Institute saw 1 million kids would be left destitute. No, it didn't happen though. But I found an interesting, I actually used artificial intelligence to do some of my homework last night, but I did double check it. And I found some interesting tidbits from history. When the New Deal was signed in the 1930s, one of the programs, of the WPA employed millions of people and built many public works projects, right? The New Deal, but there were work requirements, right? If you were going to get a government paycheck, you were going to have to go show up to a job site and actually do work. Isn't that how it ought to be? Yes. I think that there ought to be work requirements for welfare. And like Quest Fanning said, if you can't work, then you already can get Social Security. What are your thoughts on that? Send us a text today at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. All right, are you ready to talk about the paid trolls of the DNC? All right, this really made me laugh yesterday. I'm going to go ahead and skip that commercial break because I know somebody probably already signed up to be a monthly subscriber to the show. Did they? Right? Yes? Did they? It's not going to be if I go over and check my email while this clip plays. I'm going to have this, right? Anyway, so this kid, you've never heard of this kid, of course, obviously, because you probably don't look at TikTok. Harry Sisson is his name. Gosh, what a name. I mean, you're just asking to get bullied with a name like Harry Sisson. Says, MAGA trolls have claimed I'm paid by the DNC and the White House, but this is simply not true. Take a listen to this kid and trigger warning. He's going to annoy you.
So some MAGA trolls have been claiming that I'm a shill paid for by the DNC, and I don't actually believe what I say. If I've learned anything in my time making content on the internet, it's always a losing battle to feed the trolls, so I'm only going to address this once. I have never been paid by the DNC, ever. In fact, any content I've ever been sponsored to post has been labeled as such as required by law. I suppose it's worth mentioning that I've never been paid by Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, or the deep state either. The best part is this grand conspiracy the liberal Illuminati has been hiding from them is literally just a Washington Post article. And if they actually read the article, they would see that no creator was paid anything. If you think that I need to be paid to make content with President Obama, then you've clearly never seen the content I've been posting on this app for years. The fact that these conspiracy theorists think it would take a paid actor bribed by a liberal conspiracy to speak out against gun violence against kids or student loan debt or making sure that everyone has the right to vote just shows you how out of touch they are. I really appreciate the people who've been defending me against these ridiculous threats, and for the conspiracy theorists, I'm sorry, there's no story here.
Okay, no story here. I love it. Okay, so pause. Now here's the thing why this is so great, because not just because this kid's obviously a little doofus, but I mean, that's what we're raising these days, little pansy boys. But for the most part, the next kid that I'm going to play for you is he looks like he's going to be a Giga Chad. And I would play the Giga Chad soundtrack for you here because I actually have it queued up. But the problem is that it apparently is I get a copyright strike for something like that, and then they demonetize my videos. So yeah, that happened. I know. Don't panic. Don't panic. It's not the worst thing in the world. But anyways, shut up. Okay, here's why this is hilarious. Because now Twitter has this little thing underneath tweets. Can you see this on the screen right now? Are you looking at this? Check this out. These are the community notes. Readers added context that they thought people might want to know. Look at this. In late 2022, Biden's campaign team connected with social media influencers, including Harry Sisson, to draw in voters aged 18 to 29. Here's the New York Post article, the Axios.com article, and the Washington Post article that he was citing there. And then the funny thing is here, Sisson recently signed with Pallet Management. Pallet received more than $200,000 from the DNC in the last 8 months. So, did Joe Biden and Barack Obama pay him to say these things? Yes, but not directly. But that's how things work. The thing is that this kid thinks he can get away with something that like everybody else knows already goes on, but since he's getting attacked right now, he feels like he needs to respond. And let me tell you, as somebody who loves to post a good anti-pitbull meme on my Instagram account, I can tell you, feeding the trolls absolutely does work. It's a good strategy. But here's the thing. If he was really convinced that he was right about this one, excuse me if it looks like I'm not picking my nose. I just got a runny nose today. If he was really all that not concerned about the trolls on this one, then why did he set the replies? As you can see, who can reply? Only people that Harry J. Sisson follows or mention can reply, meaning that no one else can say anything to him about this one. Only people who agree with him, which as you can see, all of these Democrat people are Republicans will do anything and everything to try and discredit Gen Z rather than do youth voter outreach themselves. Yes. That's what it is. Pat him on the butt. Nobody disagrees with you. However, if a young conservative happens to disagree with mainstream media's views on gender, well, then he must be silenced. Take a listen to this brave young man. Press the play
Good
button.
evening. My name is Liam Morrison. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I never thought that the shirt I wore to school on March 21st would lead me to speak with you today. On that Tuesday morning, I was taken out of gym class to sit down with two adults for what turned out to be a very uncomfortable talk. I was told that people were complaining about the words on my shirt, that my shirt was making some students feel unsafe. Yes, words on a shirt made people feel unsafe. They told me that I wasn't in trouble, but it sure felt like I was. I was told that I would need to remove my shirt before I could return to class. When I nicely told them that I didn't want to do that, they called my father. Thankfully, my dad supported my decisions and came to pick me up. What did my shirt say?
You, Dad.
5 simple words. There are only 2 genders. Nothing harmful, nothing threatening, just a statement I believe to be a fact. I have been told that my shirt was targeting a protected class. Who is this protected class? Are their feelings more important than my rights?
Oh, boom. Give that kid a round of applause. That's a great quote. Are your feelings more important than my rights? That kid's been listening to some Ben Shapiro.
I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung throughout the school.
Boom. I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity flags hung all over the school. So some speech related to gender is a protected class and allowed to speak. Other speech is not allowed in the school. That's fascinating, right? So some people have First Amendment rights as long as those opinions that they have are the right opinions.
Do you know why? Because others have a right to their beliefs just as I do.
Listen to that kid. Oh, give that kid. Give him a lollipop. Those youngsters these days, they're really making them all right, aren't they? This kid is worth 10 Harry Sissons.
Staff or student told me that they were bothered by what I was wearing. Actually, just the opposite. Several kids told me that they supported my actions and that they wanted one too. I was told that the shirt was a disruption to learning. No one got up and stormed out of class. No one burst into tears. I'm sure I would have noticed if they had. I experience disruptions to my learning every day. Kids acting out in class are a disruption, yet nothing is done.
Yes. Yeah, I guarantee you that's true. Yeah, go wild, go crazy, talk as loud as you can, disrupt the class. But one kid sitting there quietly with a shirt that goes against, I'm sure it was a teacher that had a problem with this, a teacher's political views, and all of a sudden it's disturbing the class.
Why do the rules apply to one yet not another?
That's right.
I feel like these adults were telling me that it wasn't okay for me to have an opposing view. Their arguments were weak, in my opinion. I didn't go to school.
This kid, I wish I could play the Giga Chad. I can't do it. They'll get me on the copyright. But for some reason, I can play this song for some reason. Rick Astley is not quite as litigious. Never gonna give you up. There you go. All right, kid, come on. Take it home for us before we get Dominic Izzo on the show.
School that day to hurt feelings or cause trouble. I have learned a lot from this experience. I learned that a lot of other students share my view. I learned that adults don't always do the right thing or make the right decisions. I know that I have a right to wear a shirt with those 5 words. Even at 12 years old, I have my own political opinions, and I have a right to express those opinions. Even at school, this right is called the First Amendment to the Constitution. My hope in being here tonight is to bring the school committee's attention to this issue. I hope that you will speak up for the rest of us so we can express ourselves without being pulled out of class. Next time, it may not only be me. There might be more students that decide to speak out. Thank you for your time and good night.
Good for you, kid. Yeah. That's a great way to start your day, wouldn't you say? That kind of, like I said, that cancels out that Harry Sisson little fruitcake kid. Weirdo with a perm. All right, notice you don't see any young conservatives wearing perms like that. The Zoomer perm. So annoying. All right, let's go get Dominic Izzo to talk about why do so many right-wingers love RFK Jr. We'll talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apeforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apeforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit aporlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. How are you feeling on a Tuesday morning? Good. Well, glad the studio audience is fired up. How are the live streamers feeling out there today? Well, there's only one way that we can know if you're enjoying the show. I can't hear everybody screaming and all the oohs and ahs. I've got to have you click that like button to let us know that you're enjoying what you're hearing and seeing today. If you're joining us over on Rumble, over on Facebook or YouTube, as well as the new platform Boxcast, make sure that you click that like button to help us spread the message of economic freedom and personal liberty, which is what I'm all about. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., is he a big believer in economic freedom and personal liberty? Frankly, I don't think so, but for some reason, a lot of people on the right seem to love this guy. My next guest is Dominic Izzo. He's a former Chicago police officer and a kung fu expert, as well as a right-wing conservative podcaster himself. He's joining us on the show this morning for the very first time. Good morning, Dominic. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. I got to clarify, I was not CPD. Just got to throw that out there before somebody gets out. They're going to get out. For some strange reason, even out here, like the island of Chicago eclipses everywhere in Illinois. So every time somebody knows I'm from that area, they always say that. So
okay, well, which department were you with out there?
I was in the northwest suburbs. I was in an area that was about 40 minutes north of Chicago, so we got all the garbage Chicago chased out and Milwaukee chased out. It was great.
Good to know. I might have a question or two about Chicago for you later, Dominic, but the title segment of today's show is the Republican and Libertarian love for Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a guy who, has made so many anti-gun statements, I can't even count them. He's talked about jailing his political opponents, but some people seem to really like the guy in very unorthodox circles. What are your thoughts on this, gentleman?
I think that we have a problem escaping a monarchy 200 and some odd years ago, just to replace it with another one. I don't get anybody's fascination with legacy families in office. I don't understand it. We were talking about this the other day on our show. It blows me away people not doing their research, going, all right, just because you are pro this guy because you think you're anti-vaccine because he was against all of what we went through the last couple of years, do you not know who his family is and where that came from? So I don't know. I think Americans have a short memory. I think that one of the reasons that they like him is he's almost as polarizing as what Trump is. So you're showing that elections now are the new bread and circus, right? They're people. Trump set this standard now for when you get in run for office, you have to be entertaining. You have to. So I think that's what Americans are really starting to enjoy. I think it's part of the foundational problem I have with him is that he's an activist. He started off his career in New York law, and I don't think too many people know he had a heroin arrest.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, he had a heroin arrest in the 80s. And then you look at his family. For the love of God, father, uncle, cousin, all, one was suspiciously killed. The other two were flat out murdered. His uncle, fat-headed Ted Kennedy, the lion of the Senate, who God knows was one of the most corrupt guys out there as well. Chappaquiddick, did we forget about that? And then you got, didn't his daughter and grandchild just died a couple of years ago too? So I guess the point of it is it's polarizing, it's fun, it's entertainment, and a lot of Americans on both sides of the aisle are just stupid and they just want to be entertained. That's all it
I
is.
hear this. Oh, it's so sad, but so true. God. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, the voice of that gentleman is Dominic Izzo. He's joining us right now as a right-wing podcaster as well. Here we met on the new Freedom Network called Boxcast, which we're streaming on as well over there, trying to grow that network so that we can have more alternatives to the mainstream and the lamestream and the alternative lamestream media. So one of the things, Dominic, that I thought was interesting is this comment that I was reading in the article I sent you from September of 2014. He argued, RFK Jr. did, that billionaire industrialists Charles Koch and then his brother at the time should be in jail, enjoying 3 hots and a cot at the Hague with all the other war criminals. Now, yes, political entertainment is one reason why people might be fascinated with the RFK thing, but I mean, does the vaccine trump all? I mean, is that number one issue for people on the right these days? Because it does seem as if the right is rather obsessive about that topic. Not to say it's not a big topic, but I mean, at some point, time to move on.
Well, they're just as bad as the left. You're going to see. And, I consider myself a libertarian. I'm conservative, but I'm definitely libertarian because you're seeing that the right is just starting to be obsessive, even when it comes to Trump, vaccines, and everything else over their issues. It's like at all costs, this issue is it. And I think that the vaccine is a new one. I mean, going after the Koch brothers, that's capitalist, right? So he's flat out saying he's aligning with the rich have to pay their fair share and all these billionaires need to pay and all. Okay, so you're talking leftist political points. That's fine. I don't get why the right looks at that and even sees him as a viable candidate for their needs, for the right's needs, conservatives' needs, because he's anti-conservative. So again, this has to go back to the right-wingers fearing lockdowns again, fearing mask wearing again, fearing forced vaccinations, and they think that somebody who isn't even anti-vax, he's not anti-vax. I've never heard him say he's anti-vax. He was just questioning the efficacy and legitimacy of this vaccine that came out. Why are you going to be supporting him? The only thing I can come back to again is that America loves to wind up pumping in families in positions of power. You got Bush 1, Bush 2, Clinton 1, Clinton 2, Pelosi, her nephew out in California. For some strange reason, America loves that people who are they almost seem like, they're qualified to do the job. I'm not. So I don't get why America's obsession is in this, or why conservatives would support a liberal like him.
Political parties only reflect the views of the large majority of the people that make up those political parties, which means that the ideologies that are contained within a political party can change over time. The Republican Party of the 1860s is not the Republican Party of today. The Republican Party of the 1990s and the early 2000s is not the Republican Party of today. There was a time when the Republican Party was very much an establishment neoconservative party, very much dedicated to the views of Leon Strauss and other philosophers who believe that American power should be protected, projected overseas. The United States should be the policeman of the world, and that, like George W. Bush famously said, that sometimes you have to abandon the capitalist system to save the capitalist system. But those aren't the views of the modern political party. The modern Republican Party is now a populist right-wing party, which still has I think it's even more explicitly anti-capitalist than it was in the years of George W. Bush, where it used to be that Republicans were, they would pay lip service to free markets, maybe during the Reagan years, much more talk about freedom and free markets. But now it seems Republicans are more openly anti-capitalist with the populist wave that's taken over. What do you attribute this change, and do you think that it can last?
I don't think anybody pays attention. I think that I like to think that I was an exact example of what middle Americans do, which is I paid attention to my life, working, school, dropping out of college, trying to find a job, figuring out which path I wanted to go to, and I didn't care about what politics were doing. I never paid attention to anything. I was liberal, like everybody says. What is it? If you're if you're under 35 and you're a liberal, you're not a liberal, you have no heart. But if you're over 35 and you're not conservative, you have no brain. So I remember Mitt Romney running against I think was it Obama?
It was Obama, yeah.
And I remember, well, the first time he ran in the primary against George Bush. And I remember that one. That was the one I looked at Mitt Romney, and I was starting to get a little bit conservative because I was making money, right? So when I'm making money, now I'm seeing where my taxes go to, and I don't want people, I'm not paying for this program. That's when my liberal view started to change a bit. And I remember flat out looking at Mitt Romney on this stage. I remember I had to be in my mid-20s, and I went, yeah, I would vote for this guy. Only because he looked presidential compared to everybody else, right? So that's it. That's the mindset of people. So the older I got, I'm looking at, like, I wanted to know what am I? I didn't know what I was. Conservative? Was I liberal? And so I think that I represent a lot of what Americans are, which is there's some great views, and I'll piss your audience off for a second. There's some great views on the liberal side, right? Free education is great. Free health insurance is great. Oh, hell, free food is great. The idea of it, the concept of paying for it or who's going to pay for it, and then again, the result of what happens when you give stuff away for free and you devalue it is horrible. So I'm all about, there's some great concepts on the liberal left, but they're not practical at all. Hence why I'm conservative. I think the problem is that once somebody determines what they are, then they do have to go with the masses. It's like, oh, I guess conservative. I'm a conservative. Everybody's going this. I got to go this way. So I don't think anybody really well, I think there's few for the most part. Those of us are like me, which is you pick a side and then you start to learn as the side goes and then you level off. So in my journey, I became conservative. I mean, hell, I supported Obama his first term. I remember thinking this guy's going to change the world.
Oh boy, yikes!
Oh, dude, did he ever change the world, right? So I remember, and then
I just want to interject briefly and say I voted for Ron Paul twice, and therefore no one should criticize me.
No, but once you start figuring this stuff out and learning, you hopefully people will start to pay more attention, because when I did pay more attention, I wasn't blindly like a Trump supporter, right? I don't ride on Trump.
You're paying attention now. So I'd be very interested to hear your views on the battle that's currently being engaged in between candidate Donald Trump and not candidate, but a candidate, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. What's your take on that battle?
It irritates the living crap out of me, and I'm tired of it. I like Trump, and I voted Trump because I did want that businessman in office, right? And I liked that hard nose gets stuff done, right? Because I worked in business my entire life. I worked for some tough men, then I worked for sergeants, and I worked for command staff. And when you had to get something done, the well-oiled machine worked because everybody did their job. What I don't like is the showman. What I'm tired of is the showman. I'm tired of that. I think that if Trump continues down this path, you're good. And I'm sure he's a strategist and he's got stuff he's got to, this is going to do good for him, but is it going to do good for us? Meaning that I can't stand liberals. I think they're brain dead, but they're still my countrymen. I don't want to go to war within my own. I would like to see healing. I would like to see cohesiveness. I would like to be a world where when I grew up was, oh, you're this and I'm that. Awesome. What do you want for dinner tonight? Right. I would like to see that, but I don't know if we're going to return to that. And Trump is not doing anybody any favors by continuing down that. And that in return to every time you text DeSantis, you get people who aren't educated, who will slide in my DMs all the time. Oh, look at this. DeSantis is a paid shill. Oh, he's funded by George Soros. And I'm like, oh, we're going down this QAnon stuff.
Dude,
Here we go.
It's just crazy. It's all crazy all the way down the bottom of the rabbit hole. It's just never ending crazy. Can I ask you a question though, policy wise, Dominic, on the fight that is between Walt Disney World and Ron DeSantis? If I own a small business here in Missouri, for example, and my governor does something that I don't agree with, and I decide to speak out against it, should the government of my state be able to retaliate against me and my business?
No, I don't understand the Disney thing. I mean, I was a Disney fan growing up. I understand that there's potential stuff in there. I did follow that QAnon stuff when it first came out, but I think what you saw is the power of the mob to where now, what is it? This massive accusation of Disney being groomers, Disney trafficking children, all this stuff. I'm not saying one way or the other it is because I did zero investigation. I don't live in Florida, but I don't understand what DeSantis is doing to close them down or why he's or what he's trying to do to punish them. I don't get this. So my view is, and I'm not going to lie, I don't live in this state. Paying attention to that drama is a waste of my time. So the second I started seeing it happening and people sending me articles, I tuned that stuff out. I wasn't even paying attention.
You know what? I appreciate the honesty. Why don't we give him a round of applause for just telling us the truth? You know, talking heads, sometimes they feel the need to just talk and to give their opinions on things when they have no idea. And Dominic, I got to say, you get big credit, especially with my audience, which we have a segment devoted usually once a day. We call it the big brain segment and the topic. So we generally attract the higher IQ side of things on the Republican side of things. So you're definitely going to win big credit with them for that. Make sure that you like that stream if you like what you're hearing from Dominic Izzo. Dominic, can I ask you a quick question about Chicago? Because we were talking about it earlier. I know you weren't CPD, but you were in the suburbs and the outskirts. That place seems like a damn war zone these days. What the hell's going on?
I live 20 minutes outside the city. I haven't set foot in the city. Last time I set foot in the city was March 16th, 2020. I won't go in it. And I was there daily. I don't know what the hell happened in the city. It's anybody who ever says Chicago is beautiful, they landed in O'Hare. They took I-90 straight into where it hit the lake, and that's what they saw. That was it. The touristy areas, Michigan Avenue, State Street, that's it. If you go to Chicago, if you come here, go right down to Michigan Avenue, the Magnificent Mile, and wait till it's about 2 a.m. so you get no traffic. Now get in a car and go 5 minutes south or west. No traffic. And you're going to see a completely different area. No, I've talked about this many times. The problem with the city, the black community is absolutely leveraged for votes every year. I ran for Cook County Sheriff and I saw that firsthand. The system is absolutely systemic racism systemically racist when it comes to that. The system absolutely is designed to keep young black men and women in prison. There's no question. You can't change my mind otherwise. And that comes down to how more black bodies in the jails means more jobs for people who wind up needing them and more services for the Democrats who their governor lost elections. So now 300 people all need a job. Oh, let's go create these jobs here. We need more black bodies in the prison. End of story. That's also why they keep the school system broken and the fathers out of the home. So you have a never ending cycle of young, uneducated, hormone-induced, drug addict, violent black young men who could just be pumped back in that system. Outside of that, it's a toilet. It is disgusting. These people are suffering out here, and if you come out to the city, I just wouldn't. It's very violent, dangerous. We just had 250-something people shot for the month in April, and that boils down to 8.2 people shot per day, and it's a joke. It's a joke. And so I would stay away from the city if I were anybody.
Wow, Dominic, that's pretty insane. We appreciate you being so honest, though, about it. Former police officer there. Real quick, before I let you go, Dominic, one last question that I want to ask you. Tell us about your Kung Fu Wing Chun experiences. I've been a Japanese karate practitioner for about 15 years, and I noticed that you are a practitioner of the same martial art practice by Bruce Lee. Tell us a little bit about your
Bruce
background.
Lee.
What? Shut up.
I hate Bruce Lee because he did Wing Chun for 3 years, came out here to America, screwed it all up, and now we got Jay Kitty. No, I was a wrestler, and I spent my high school and what college I did go to career wrestling. Fell in love with it because I'm 5'7". I'm a shorter man. I found Wing Chun by accident in 1998, immediately fell in love with it and started learning it as much as I could, started teaching it. I started a YouTube channel with my mouth, and I became one of the largest YouTube channels on the subject that there is. But I've been doing Wing Chun for, over 25 years now? And yeah, as an older guy, Kung Fu just rules. It's awesome.
That's awesome, dude. Well, if we ever get to meet in person, we'll have to do a little sparring match, karate versus Kung Fu. It'll be fun. Dominic, this was great, man. We'll definitely have to have you back. We appreciate your time. Do you want to plug anything or is there anything you'd like to share with our listeners before we let you go?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. If you like this content, I'm live 5 nights a week with Common Sense Ashley. It's the Rants of Izzo show. You can find us on rantsofizzo.com. That's rantsofizzo.com. We're part of the Spreely.tv network, and that's live Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Glad to be a part of it now. We'll definitely continue to have you back as a regular guest. Dominic, thank you very much for your time today. Have a good one.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks very much. What did you think of Dominic Izzo? Send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. All right, I don't think I have time to get to the Michael J. Fox Parkinsons video and discuss that. I do want to do that, though. I'm going to have to do a little bit later. Camellia Peterson is coming up next to talk about why Republicans need to win the suburbs. But the Republican Party says, no, we don't need independence. We can do what we've been doing and change nothing and continue to lose. Talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Enjoy the commercials. Watch them.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, you know, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mum, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great. Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me pups build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. How are you feeling today on a Tuesday? Hope everybody is doing well. Up bright and early, joining us here on the show. Let's get your day started off right. Did you enjoy that interview with Dominic Izzo, his first time on the show? I'm looking forward to introducing you to more people from my new friend network over there at Spreely TV and introducing them to you one at a time, each guest. But you know, sometimes the best are the ones that we've had with us all along. Joining us now, Camelia Peterson is on the line. And boy, if she looks a little haggard, it might be because she's going through a renovation project at the moment. Good morning, CJ.
Good morning. This too shall pass, right?
This too shall pass. Yeah, you've been going like a massive renovation at your home these days. And the way you were describing it in the commercial break is like, doesn't look like there's any end in sight.
It's a lot of work. And here's the thing. It's like, you know, when you're trying to do things on a budget and you decide you're going to do the labor yourself, I always think about these things, and I think about in time, because time is money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, in terms of your own cost in time investment, I'm like, can somebody else do this? And it would be, you know, more worth it for me to, and really it wouldn't. I mean, it's going to take me a lot longer. It was going to double my cost if I would have had somebody else do it. But I just, you know, going through this, it's constantly going through my mind and keeping me annoyed about all of the extra funds that I would have had to pay somebody else to do this if the government didn't take so much of my money, especially the money I paid into the public school system for years and years and years that I will never see a drop of anyway. But I will leave that alone.
Yeah, probably best. People do tune in for the news, but they like to hear what's going on in our personal lives as well. Camelia, you said that you didn't know a whole lot about RFK Jr., but you've noticed a lot of our friends online, or at least people that run in our same ideological circles, really seem to love this dirty Democrat. What do you think that is?
You know, and I'm familiar with him in the context of, you know, he's been very vocal when it comes to COVID and the vaccine issues over the last few years. And so I know people really like him because of that. I just saw in the Twitter comments under the show link that people are already defending their support of him and giving you links for interviews that you need to watch to, you know, learn more about him and his anti-war positions and his, you know, anti-vaccine or whatever it is, you know, this, that, or the other. But there's a whole lot of things that they don't include in there. And be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I'm looking at this account that says RFK Libertarian. They says his message aligns very closely with libertarians: anti-war, pro-freedom, anti-censorship, not woke. And yet, when I look at some of RFK's quotes here, he says that corporations which deliberately, purposefully, maliciously, and systematically sponsor climate lies should be given the death penalty. And then he also wrote a piece headlined "Jailing Climate Deniers," and then had a kill list, including Heritage Foundation, Cato Institute, CEI, State Policy Network, Americans for Prosperity. So you're actually on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s kill list, CJ.
Oh, sad. Well, if you can love him for his anti-war, anti-vaccine stance, but clearly he is also anti-free market, and that's the biggest red flag of all.
Well, he's anti-freedom in general. It's just the only freedoms that he's for is the one that everybody's been obsessed with, of course, the last few years, and that's the jab, the double jab, the triple jab, the Moderna Pfizer vaccine, which, for some reason has. I get it. I understand people like bodily autonomy, and which I absolutely support. But I mean, at some point, it is a tad obsessive. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I do think that you're right. We have to move on in some ways. And I think people equate moving on with somehow that makes that's saying that it was okay or that it was no big deal. And that's not the case. You can still be vigilant and be watching those issues and guarding, against government infringement, but not be obsessing on it every waking moment online.
Exactly. I still bitch about the Tuskegee syphilis experiment, but it doesn't consume my every waking moment. It is in the past
Right.
after all.
And it's not your sole issue for who you vote for.
Exactly. How do they feel about the Tuskegee Airport syphilis experiment? Oh, okay. So let's move on, Camellia, because you brought this to my attention yesterday. The Republican Party did a postmortem, and they said that the problem with the GOP and the reason why they've lost so many elections for the last several cycles is not because they didn't win independence. So I guess they really just need to keep doubling down on what they're doing, right?
Well, if they the losing strategy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, in this, I think we see this now more than ever. This is a decision year for Republicans. I mean, it feels like every year's a decision year, but I really think this is the decision year because they have a decision to make as to whether or not they put Trump at the top of the ticket. And the 2022 cycle was the red wave that didn't happen. And why there's, all kinds of analysis as to why that is. But I think the largest reason comes out in a Gallup poll that shows that 27% of people identify as Democrat, 28% identify as Republicans, 44% identify as independents. That's huge. And Trump is a real problem for independents. And in fact, the right currently is a problem for independents. They're not winning them. And I think, if they put Trump at the top of the ticket and they keep doubling down on some of these things, that they should be prepared to lose big in 24. And what I sent you was using Nancy Mace, who is she's out of South Carolina, and she's a representative, and she's kind of an example of somebody, a Republican who won big in a very purple district there. And so it's kind of looking at the reasons why that happened. And it's because she didn't go out there and, throw bombs and alienate everybody left and right in kind of purist ideology, which it's one thing to be principled and to stick to your principles. And it's another thing to not recognize that you have to make incremental gains to get to those goals for your ultimate, your utopia. There is no utopia, but trade-offs to get to your goal. You've got to do it step by step. I'm mostly familiar with her because of hearing about her through Jack Hunter and Doug Stafford, who are both in the liberty movement, go back a long ways with Rand Paul. And so there are people, and they have a lot of great things to say about her. And what she did is she went out in her purple district and she talked to people about issues that matter to them. But she also, particularly on the abortion issue, because looking back, probably a lot of what happened in 22 came about as a result of the Roe v. Wade decision. And so, it impacted, I think, that more than we anticipated it would. But when she is talking about that issue in her district, she's also talking about how we can make birth control more accessible, like other measures, preventative measures that we can take. She's not just doubling down on the most extreme abortion position that you can take. And that's kind of the Republican tendency. And I get it. I'm as pro-life, probably as the most pro-life Republican you can get. But I also understand that there are nuance and very real challenges in that, and that you have to approach people. You will not win people over to your side, especially people who are kind of in the middle on things and they are pro-life, but they're not sure about, some of the extreme ends of things. And so you have to find a way to communicate with them instead of driving them away.
Nuance doesn't sell papers, though. Good morning. Welcome to the Wake Up
True.
America show. I'm Austin Peterson, your host, joined by my friend Camelia Peterson from the state of Missouri as well. Speaking of nuance and insight, have you been enjoying my anti-pit bull memes on Instagram lately?
Oh, Lord. Wow, those have been something else. I can't remember which one it was, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, I know which one. It was the anti-pit bull meme I had where it was a pit bull leaning out a window with sunglasses. And he's like ordering at a drive-through, and he says, yeah, let me get a toddler double stack with cheese. Hold the diaper."
Hold the diaper. Oh my goodness. It's so terrible.
People really love these dogs. I hate them.
Yeah, I know. I could tell.
I never had a good interaction with a pit bull. I really, it makes me laugh because the thing is that, yeah, obviously I hate pit bulls. I think they suck. But you're free to own a pit bull. It just seems as if the people who own pit bulls never seem to properly raise them, right? It's like every time you turn on a story. Didn't we have some story here in Missouri a couple of months ago where one pit bull bit 21 kids?
Yeah, it's like on a playground, got loose on a playground in a neighborhood or a school or something, school grounds that weren't fenced in. And so, yeah, it's crazy. And the thing is like for people to not acknowledge that some breeds are predisposed to either unstable behavior or certain types of behavior is just foolish, because dogs have been bred for different purposes. And, pit bull is one of those breeds, and they're bred to be they're bred to be aggressive. They're bred to be guard dogs, but what makes them probably more dangerous is how they're built, and that like when they do latch onto you, you're not getting away.
Loose. Yeah, for
Incredibly
sure.
strong jaws. Yeah, it's the only dog I've ever had trouble with, when I've been walking around in my area. But yeah, I know there
Yeah.
are some sweet ones too, but the reality is,
Right. The sweet ones are just the ones that haven't eaten a child yet. So one of my favorite memes I posted yesterday: heroic pit bull runs back into burning house to bite one more child. And the other people were like, I like the comments where people are like, it's the dog for the 400 credit score crowd.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Right. Or the ones what I love too are the people who are like, Chihuahuas bite people too, as if that's in any way
Well,
comparable. Have you
it's
noticed too that
not.
they're trying to compare it to like, you sound like people who want to take away our guns and stuff, and it's like, are you fucking stupid? Like, do you know that are you comparing an inert object to a dangerous animal? But I mean, they really are fucking stupid, aren't they?
Well,
That's why they get a dog that requires a
people
400
have their
credit score.
biases, right? And they don't want
Right.
to see anything else. Bias confirmation is a powerful thing.
I hope that they're not listening to us this morning over at the Kemna Collision Shop this morning. If so,
Oh my
because Caleb
goodness.
Vanderfeld's, because Tanner Kemna's got some pit bulls. He's gonna be real mad at me.
No.
It's all in good fun, Tanner. I know you have a high credit score. 1 out of every 100 pit bull owners has a credit score above 400.
By the way, I wanted to just say that I really enjoyed the last guest, Dominic Izzo, was it? That was a breath of fresh air. He was really good to listen to him, and I really liked what he had to say about elections being the new bread and circuses.
Yeah, he was really good, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that's so true. That's our entertainment now. Like we need to find a new source of entertainment.
There are certain things that I've changed my opinions on as I've been in politics and news for 15 years. And one of them is when I first started in politics, I was like, we need to get more people registered to vote. We need to get more people involved, right? The problem is that not enough people are involved in the political process. Now it seems like more and more people are involved in the political process. And I'm like, wait, can we please go back?
Well, and I think part of the problem is like the people that are involved, it does seem like more people are involved, but I also think it seems that way because more people are online, they have a bigger voice, and it's really amplified, and the extremes on both ends are more amplified. And we have those people, that 44% in the middle, who are not as loud, and they're not, spending every waking minute of their lives invested in this stuff like we are. So yeah, I'm actually okay with pulling those voters in because you can probably reason with them a little more.
Oh no, Tanner's mad. Caleb says we're listening. LOL. It's fun watching Tanner steam out the ears when you get him going. This does not apply. I like to give an exception to Quest Fanning and to Tanner Kemna. Obviously, they have decent credit scores. But but I do think it is funny when people are like, pit bulls are nanny dogs. And then, when it bites a kid, they're like, there's no such thing as a pit bull. And it's like, oh, okay. All right. You know what I mean? But that's why we have somebody was actually like, don't you have a bulldog and stuff? And I was just kind of I'm laughing about that. I'm like, in order to own a French bulldog, you have to have at least a 700 credit score.
Now there's an elitist statement if I've ever heard one.
Well, it's kind of like, the Republicans have been infected with this populist strain recently, and they've adopted progressive politics. They've also adopted progressive attitudes of egalitarianism. And I never signed up to be a Republican because I believed everybody is equal. I signed up to be a Republican because I believe everybody's the opposite. Most of you are shit, and you need to get your act together and step up and do something useful with your life. And if you haven't, then that's probably why you own a pit bull.
Well, personal responsibility, right?
Exactly. Personal responsibility, but don't forget, in the nature versus nurture argument, there has to be a bit of genetics. I did like the one, like, some people claim that it was racist, this meme. But I think the best part about it was that, in the political spectrum where there's like right-wing authoritarian, right-wing libertarian, left-wing libertarian, but it was the right-wing authoritarians. It shows a Labrador. And his quote is, "Isn't it weird how pit bulls, 11% of the dog population, commit 50% of all dog attacks?" And some people were saying that sounded like a familiar statistic. Yeah. So I guess look at things are getting a lot uncomfortable here this morning. Hey, what else is going on here in the state of Missouri? I saw our attorney general had a judge strike down his anti-transgender rule or something.
That has been I think a temporary stay has been put in place on that. And I don't know what next steps are. And we talked about the problems with that, particularly in terms of the fact that it applied to adults. But we are in, for our legislative session here in Missouri, we are in the last 2 weeks now, I think, which seems kind of crazy, 2.5 weeks maybe. So everything's, coming down to the wire. And of course, the typical thing happens where if you didn't get your bills passed already, you load it up like a Christmas tree onto some bill that's making it through as an amendment. And so I was trying to remember what one of the reps one time told me was the record for how many amendments got put on a bill that went through at the end. It was massive. It's incredible. But anyway, so we'll see, whether or not they have, if they do not get the legislation done on banning mutilation of minors, the governor has come out and said he will call a special session and bring them back to get that done, which I am glad to hear that. I wish he would lead on a lot of other issues as well as that, but I will take that and run with it. But we'll see what else they get in. Mostly what you hear right now, frankly, is whining about the sports betting bill, which is one of the dumbest thing I think that we've ever spent time on in Missouri, because why do people care if there's these gray slot machines in gas stations, or why do they care if people, want to?
That is such a special interest right there. It's just,
yes.
just the people who run the other gambling operations in the state of Missouri,
Yes.
spending every single penny that they have to try and prevent any level of competition whatsoever. It's just cronyism. It's so annoying.
It is, and I think that not most of the elected officials basically look at those things and see dollar signs because they want to tax you to death on it.
Yeah, can you actually win money from those things? I've never played one.
Oh, the gray slot machines? I have no
Yeah.
idea. Me
I
neither.
don't know.
Somebody tweeted a picture of several of them last night, and I've probably seen them in gas stations and just didn't even realize that that's what they were. But it was like, those gray slot machines spotted in the wild, in their natural habitat, a gas station. But it's just,
Must be
it's
pit
so
bull owners that
silly.
play those things. Camelia, is there anything else that you want to let our listeners know before we let you go today?
I think that that's it. Just have a great day, everybody, and go out and do something besides obsess on, the vaccine.
And I hope that
and
both teams
RFK.
have fun. And
Yes.
RFK, Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity, thank you very much. And sorry that you now have a death sentence from RFK Jr. Have a good one.
Yeah. Bye.
Thanks very much. What do you think of Camellia Peterson? Send us a text 573-319-1586. I'd just like to say that nobody who is watching this show this morning obviously am I speaking to when I'm talking derogatorily about pit bull owners. Obviously, if you are watching this show, then that puts you in a cut above. I'm sure that there are some good pit bulls out there, and we appreciate very much Caleb Vanderfeldt and Quest Fanning. And remember, it's all in good fun, and we're teasing, and we're having a good little funny show. What else do we have on the show today? Do we have any more guests? Oh, we do. Yeah, we've got BX Bullet, who's going to be joining us here in about, looks like about a little bit less than, 14 minutes. We're going to have BX Bullet joining us on the program. Coming up next, the father of artificial intelligence quit Google and warned of danger of the new technology getting out of control. We'll talk about that and why IBM is saying that 7,800 jobs could be taken over by artificial intelligence. Could your job be replaced by AI? We'll talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here, and we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
George. Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mom, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great! Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me Pups build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Glad to have you here on a Tuesday. Hope your week is going well so far. Grateful to have you here on the program. So yesterday I was advertising one of my products over at apforlibertyshop.com. I asked people to write the marketing pitches for it. I honestly think people did a pretty darn good job for my Donald Trump toilet brush. So get this, I've only got 2 of them left, right? So I had 5, and some guy bought 2, another guy bought 1, and these things are not easy to find. The Donald Trump toilet brush, make toilets great again. That's one person that they tweeted yesterday. Somebody was like, drain the swamp. I thought that was a pretty good one. The only swamp draining that's going on. At apforlibertyshop.com, the Donald Trump toilet brush is available for sale right now. You can get yours over at apforlibertyshop.com if you have any swamp draining. If you've got a Trump supporting friend in your life or Trump hating friend in your life, I pretty much think everybody would enjoy this product. I've got, again, 2 of them left, and it would take me weeks to get more. And for those who are asking, you want Joe Biden? I know you want Joe Biden. I want Joe Biden. I can't get them. I cannot get them. Nobody has them. They're impossible to get. I guess everybody wants to clean their toilet brush with Joe Biden's head. But there are Trump ones available, and I have 2 of them. They will go fast. They'll probably be gone by the end of the day. Head off to apforlibertyshop.com. Get yourself an awesome Donald Trump toilet brush. And join us there. Nice to see y'all there. More classy, please, and thank you. Donald Trump brush left an orange ring in my toilet. Very funny, says Doug H. Glad to have you here today on the Wake Up America show. All right, artificial intelligence. Is it going to take your job? Well, actually, yes, it just might. I was reading yesterday that IBM would be able to eliminate around 7,800 jobs in replacing them with artificial intelligence. Now, that wasn't interesting enough. I found another story about a CEO who is paying tens of thousands of dollars for artificial intelligence subscriptions, AI subscriptions, Chat GPT, for all of his employees. And he said it's made them much more productive than they were before. If you are following anything that on this program, if you've been following for a while, I've been talking about some of the merits of artificial intelligence, but there are a lot of skeptics out there, including the man who helped create it, the godfather of artificial intelligence, a Google engineer by the name of Geoffrey Hinton. He's widely considered the godfather of AI, has quit his job, and now he's warning of the dangers of further AI development. He worked at Google for more than a decade, and he's kind of widely considered to be responsible for helping to write an algorithm that helped artificial intelligence to determine or to differentiate between objects in pictures. So to be able to tell what a dog is versus a car, for example. He announced his resignation from Google in a statement to the New York Times, saying that he now regrets his work. Here's what he says: "I console myself with the normal excuse, If I hadn't done it, somebody else would have, which is true. He says it's hard to see how you can prevent the bad actors for using it for bad things. Well, that's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit of, was it Oppenheimer, who felt like he felt regret for creating the atomic bomb, right? But at the end of the day, somebody was going to create it, right? And if wasn't the Allies who created the atomic bomb, it certainly would have been the Nazis, and the communists would have done it themselves. But Hinton's major AI breakthrough was helping to creating that algorithm that can analyze photos and identify common elements like dogs and cars. The algorithm was a rudimentary beginning to what current AIs like OpenAI, ChatGPT, and Google's Bard AI are capable of. Now, Google purchased this company from Hinton for about $44 million after that breakthrough. Hinton says that the progression that has been seen since he wrote that algorithm in 2012 is astonishing, but it's the tip of the iceberg. He says, look at how it was 5 years ago and how it is now. Take the difference and propagate it forward. That's scary. Now, the thing is that they keep talking about the possibilities of fear, but they never really go into too many details. Well, what could people actually really do with it? Hinton's fears echoed a lot of people, though, who have expressed skepticism about artificial intelligence. As a matter of fact, 1,000 tech leaders earlier this year called for a brief halt in artificial intelligence development. Elon Musk was signed on to that. Google's chief scientist, Jeff Dean, responding to these comments, said, "We remain committed to a responsible approach to artificial intelligence. We're continually learning to understand emerging risks while also innovating boldly." I read an article from that was mentioning Elon Musk talking about a science fiction story, and I can't quote the poem from that sci-fi story for you, but I can only just summarize what it said. It was a poem about a girl who was deaf to the sounds of the humming machines all around her at all times because she had always been surrounded by the noise of the machines ever since she was born. And that seems like an interest, very much a metaphor for what we're experiencing today. We are surrounded by machines and technology, with our phones in our pockets and everything, but I don't know really to what extent the dangers, can we say scientifically, the dangers have been to have access to this technology. Todd in Minnesota says, intelligence is more than intellectual. There's also emotional intelligence. Artificial intelligence is not capable of emotion. Only life is capable of emotion. Life can only come from spirit. It cannot be manufactured. Todd, very well said. I gotta say, very well done. I like that. Let's give Todd a round of applause there. All right, I'm going to go to a commercial break. By the time I get back, those Trump toilet brushes are going to be gone, right? Make toilets great again. Get your Donald Trump toilet brush today over at apforlibertyshop.com. Don't forget, we got free shipping. I'm going to go get BX Bullet. Apparently there's a serial killer on the loose in Austin, Texas. Talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here, and we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America Show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
George. Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1. You can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself, or me mum, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great! Number 2. Most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3. You're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me Pups build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell! This commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Got a little bit of bad news. Unfortunately, BX Bullet will not be able to be here today. Yeah, I know, but sometimes you got kids to raise and you get sick kids and you got to take care of your kids. So she can't be here today, which means that I don't have a guest right now. When you do all that work preparing to have a guest and then you don't hear from them till like 2 minutes before, which does happen, you understand, you got to figure things out and figure out what to talk about. So what does Austin Peterson do? What does old AP do at a time like this? Well, AP poops his pants. Then he goes to previous rundowns for stories that he wasn't able to cover because he didn't have enough time. And then he talks about those stories instead. What do you say? Are you ready for Austin Peterson to tap dance like he's never tap danced before? Yes? Are we ready? Good. Well, if you're enjoying the show anyway, make sure that you click like for a little bit of moral support and standing in solidarity with AP as he figures out what the hell he's going to say for the next 10 minutes. How about this? 10 signs that you're scaring people off because you have a strong personality. Do you ever think you sometimes come off way too strong? I definitely do. I think I remember there have been a few times when I have definitely put people on their back footing, and I didn't really mean to. I'm just kind of like being my usual self, right? I'm very chipper in the morning, as they say, and people who know me know I have a bit of a strong personality. Well, let's talk about 10 signs that you might be scaring people off because of your strong personality, CJ. Andy Opperman says back in the day, AP was known to say, "Dance, monkey," when things like that happen. Yes, here I am. So watch me dance. Ready? Here we go. Here we go. Number 1 sign that your personality might be too strong. They act way too nice to you. Interesting. We'll get into the details of that in just a moment, but I do want to give a shout out to Quest Fanning. Thanks for the super chat, Quest. Thank you very much. Financial support helps to continue to keep the Wake Up America show on the air, and we're super grateful for it. We're not backed by a big network. He says Donald Trump's going to have a CNN interview. Discuss that. Yes, we will, but I think I'll wait until the interview happens and then cut the clips, and then we'll play it and we'll react to it. I think that's the best way to go. A strong personality, but very reserved over the phone, AP. Very true, Matt Unruh. They act way too nice to you. So 10 signs that you might have a strong personality is 1, they act way too nice. People generally like being nice around people, but there's such a thing as being a little bit too nice, especially if it doesn't feel normal. And when it gets to that point, it's actually more likely to be motivated by fear. Perhaps they're afraid that you might go off on them or make everyone feel bad. And that's especially the case if you're someone who says things straight without bothering to mince your words or sugarcoat them to make people feel better. And so in order to keep the peace, as it were, people would just rather keep their mouths shut and act pleasant. That was interesting. I was listening to a little bit of Steven Crowder yesterday just to see kind of how, if he's off his game or anything from everything that's been going, the scandal that's been going on the last week. And I heard some of them talking about something like, you don't love someone if you lie to them. And God, I've never heard a bigger load of horse crap if I've seen it. Boy, that is definitely not true. I mean, I had a really mean, you know what? I'm not going to say it. Steven, I'm going to spare you that mean joke, but I'll just say this. If you have a wife, your butt doesn't look fat in those jeans, darling. You look wonderful. Yeah, sure. You never lie to people that you love. There we go. They act way too nice to you. Signs that you have a strong personality that comes off a little bit too strong. Be genuinely nice in return is what you ought to do. Make them feel comfortable by not being critical or judgmental during your interactions. It will make them realize that you don't actually bite. Stephanie and I have had this conversation. Looks like she's in the chat this morning. Good morning to my lovely wife. Nice to see you here. She says, lying is a big no-no for me. Stephanie, I'm sorry, but if your butt does get too big for those jeans, and, I'm always going to tell you that I think you look nice and I love you very much because I do love you very much. And, not everybody's butt can look great in jeans every single day. It's just what it is. But remember, Stephanie, the other day when we were watching Battlestar Galactica, the first episode, when the president of the fleet was talking to that young attendant that she worked with, and she says, "How do I look?" And he looks at her and he goes, "You look fine." And she's like, and then he's like looking at her like, "What do you want me to say?" And she's like, "You know nothing about women, do you?" Well, guess what? I do know something about women. I do know a thing or two on women. Right. All right. So number 2, signs that you're scaring people off because of your strong personality is if you get tense, if they get tense when you're around. Do you notice people tensing up a little bit when you're in the room? Even if you're the kindest person in the world, if you have a strong enough personality, people will still get reasonably tense, right? One sign that you're scaring people off is when the mood of the room changes when you enter. Some people can't detect that, though. People would go quiet the moment they notice you walk in, and it's not just because you look great in that dress, sweetheart, or at the very least, maybe people will be a little bit quieter. It's almost like they feel they have to behave in your presence, right? So what you can do is joke about how you're not their boss, and they can resume talking like usual. Try to be as friendly as you can without trying too hard, of course. What do you think? You can text the show at 573-319-1586. Yeah, Stephanie and I watched the first episode of Battlestar Galactica, which is not the best episode of the show. It just sets it up for you. And I will say that the rest of the series gets better and better and better. But yeah, you got to get through the first episode or two to kind of get the concept and then move on. But yeah, it is on Peacock streaming for Camellia, who's asking over there. All right. Signs you might be coming on too strong. Number 3, if people are scared to cross your boundaries, right? If you have a solid idea of what your boundaries are and you enforce them firmly, you most definitely have a strong personality. Well, you may say that there's nothing wrong with that, but people can sometimes react in unpredictable ways to that, right? Some will try you, right, and then leave when they get rebuffed. But most people might be afraid to cross your boundaries, right? If you've chewed people out for waking you up at 2 a.m. just to chat about their love life, then they're, of course, going to take extra care not to do that again. But if somebody's calling you enough at 2 a.m., I mean, maybe they're being inconsiderate, but maybe they actually need you, right? Maybe they want to be able to approach you. And I think it's better to be approachable than to be unapproachable, don't you think? It's up to you, right? Of course. But if you've chewed them out, right, then they'll take care not to approach you about things again, right? But this is in contrast with weak-willed people, right? The opposite. They'll allow people to make compromises over their boundaries, and then they end up being, well, pushovers, right? So there's a reversal to this. But the thing to do about that, of course, just try and be a little bit gentler with the people in your circle, right? Sometimes it's not the fact you're setting boundaries, but the way that you enforce those boundaries that matter, right? Appreciate the people who respect your boundaries by respecting their boundaries in return. Number 4 on the list of signs that you may be scaring people off because you have a strong personality. I know a lot of people with strong personality, when they hear this, they're like, resist. It's okay, fine. I mean, do what you want. But I mean, if you'd like to have a bigger friend circle, then, some people don't care. If you don't want to have a bigger friend circle, that's fine. It's up to you. For me, Stephanie and I, we talk about this a lot, like how she has like a very, very small friend circle, and I have a very, very, very large, very, 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 very large friend circle. I just like to have a lot of friends. I do. Right. So I don't know, maybe it's because I just like to always be social and, be a social butterfly and things like that. I'm a beautiful butterfly. Yeah. And be around people and make friends. And that's why that's why I do talk show like this, because, even though I'm all alone in this cold bar in the back of an office in Jefferson City, I don't feel like I'm alone. Right. And it's because I feel like you guys are almost here with me, and we're talking and we're interacting and things like that. And, having a strong personality, I think, draws people to me, right? But being approachable is a big part of it, especially in terms of like being successful in doing this. But number 4, if people say you're too ambitious, well, that's something that I could be accused of, right? People with strong personalities refuse to be shoved into a box. Nothing wrong with that. But if you have a deep yearning to aim high, if you have sky high big dreams, then you might have a strong personality. But because of this, people who wish that they could do what you do are going to feel threatened. And while you say, well, screw them, I don't care, just remember, some other people are your pathway to success. And people who feel threatened by you, it may not necessarily be the right idea to try and steamroll them immediately, because I can tell you that I've done that in the past, and it was a big mistake. I can't tell you specific stories because a lot of these people are still in my life and part of my career. But as a matter of fact, I'll tell you just briefly, I approached someone recently saying, hey, listen, I've got this dream, this goal for my business. I would like to try and accomplish this. And the person was like, well, you might want to be careful because there's another person who might stand in your way if you try and do this. It's like, what do you mean? Why, well, it's because, they feel a sense of professional jealousy. It's a real thing. And you kind of have to be careful because in order to accomplish your goals, the people who might feel jealousy about your ambitions, you kind of have to be able to grease those wheels, if you will, right? You got to be able to ease people's ways to make sure that in order to get to where you're going, this is real, this is diplomacy, this is real politics, if you will, right? So and they would think to themselves how audacious you might be to even try to chase your dreams, maybe if they're refusing to chase theirs. And for that, they can resent you, right? They will then tell you, perhaps because they're concerned about you. Have you ever heard about concern trolling? Do you know what that is? They'll tell you that you're way too ambitious, right? They'll project their own excuses on you to scare you into giving up and being like them. Don't do it, right? you do have to shut them down gently, but firmly, right? Now, consider any legitimate concerns that they might have, right? For example, Austin's never going to be a star on America's Got Talent. If I told you my dream was to make it big as a singer on America's Got Talent, then perhaps you might, poo-poo on those dreams. How dare you tell me I can't be, like I'm going to be Baby Wawa and go out there and, be a huge star. Not going to happen, right? Not going to happen. Try to discern who actually has legitimate concerns and who's just trying to hold you back, right? Cut away the haters and ignore them and listen to legitimate concerns. Number 5, signs you're scaring people off because you have a strong personality. They say you're too opinionated. Oh boy, this one's me to a T. You say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to say. Say what you mean to say. Is that a John Maynard Keynes song? No, Leonard Skinner? I can't remember. Don't know. Anyways, and you don't bother trying to tone down your opinions just because people might disapprove of them. Boy, is that me or what to a T. Yeah, I'll tell you. Right. And for this reason, people might call you a little bit too critical, opinionated, or even an attention seeker. Somebody actually accused me of that on Instagram yesterday, but it was because of the Pitbull memes. But, we all know Pitbulls suck. People might call you too critical, too opinionated, right? But that's not what you're actually doing. It's simply that as far as you're concerned, everyone should be able to voice their thoughts as openly as possible without being outright rude. And hey, it's not that you're especially harsh. You're just direct and honest. I seem to know a familiar lady in the live stream who was saying something like that just a couple of minutes ago in terms of being direct and honest and blunt. Who was it? I wonder. And while people don't like it when you express a negative opinion over something they believe in or are passionate about, like stupid pit bulls. But what can you do? Give people ample opportunity to share their opinions with you and try to find a resolution. Kill all pit bulls? Let's start there. Agree to disagree. Sometimes there's no point in arguing a point with someone with a 400 credit score if it's clear neither side will budge and one side is stupid. Or if the topic wasn't that important anyways, but if it is important, like killing all pit bulls, then perhaps we should continue to have that discussion. Number 6, they feed you many little white lies. One of the reasons why people with strong personalities are so intimidating is because they have high moral standards. They expect it of themselves as well as of others. The tragedy, however, is not everyone has morals as strong as they have. And if you're with someone with a strong personality, you'll see this in others, and all the little white lies people say and assume they'll get away with. Why are they doing this? They're worried if you found out what they actually did, you'd see them differently and start questioning them about everything, what to do. Call people out gently when you find them lying and reassure them that it's okay for them to say the truth. Be gracious with what they have to say, even if it's unpleasant for you to hear. Number 7 on the list of signs you're scaring people off because of your strong personality is they hold their breath when you talk. I'll better be honest. I've actually seen my brother do this when when we're getting ready to start a conversation. I will say that I have seen my brother hold his breath when I start a conversation because he knows I'm about to throw some bombs, right? People with strong personalities can make other people uncomfortable. I've certainly done that, and I've seen that in my brother many times. When you speak, people tense up like you're going to drop a bomb at any given time. Oh, God. Yeah. Yeah, people, perhaps they're afraid you have dirt on them and you'd say it without a care in the world. See, maybe you have a live stream and hundreds of people watch it every day. They know you're nice, but even the sweetest coating can't make a bomb less dangerous. So what to do? Try to lighten the air with a little timely humor. Being lighthearted can do a lot to dispel any heavy aura around you. If you have something heavy you need to say, try to settle it as privately as possible. No, I need to say it on the stream. I want to say what I think about this. Okay, no, I think actually I will back off of that opinion. I won't say that. I'll hold it back on that one. Number 8, they tear you down behind your back. People with strong personalities. An unfortunate side effect of having a strong personality is that you have people eager to knock you down a peg. Yes, I see this every day. People throw rocks at things that are shiny, says Taylor Swift. If they see you making mistakes, they're going to zero in on it, and they will never let you live it down. They will latch on to whatever and drag you down. And then when you turn around, they'll gossip about you. They will want to see you struggle and fail no matter how hard you try, and maybe even just give up and say goodbye. Somebody yesterday was like, "You're desperate ads for your AP for Liberty shop. Just desperate," and all this stuff. They're like, I wouldn't help you. Somebody the other day was like, "I wouldn't help you. You need to get help with your failing shop and business," and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, This is somebody who, like, they want to see me fail, and they will do anything to see the in contrast, they want to see you fail, right? They want to see the Wake Up America show cease to exist. APforLibertyShop.com cease to exist. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what I have to do and ask you today to make a super chat donation to us in YouTube. If you're watching us now, if you're over on Rumble, make a small donation on Rumble to help the Wake Up America show stay strong so we don't have to worry about the haters. What do you say, Todd in Minnesota, Papa Hotep, Femme Constitutionalist, Bluterike, Kermode Bear? Drop us a donation over there on Rumble if you don't mind, or a super chat over on YouTube. Let's make the haters suffer and cry, because we are going to stick around and continue to shine bright. Thank you, Taylor Swift, for the inspiration this morning, right? If you're unapologetically you, they will lie about you, and they will do anything they can to hurt you. It's not like you're doing anything wrong. And hey, being ambitious is a good thing. But of course, people are irrational, right? They don't like how you make them feel. And that's simply all it takes. And I love it too whenever I see somebody who's like, Austin, you suck, you're terrible, you're failing, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like they have a podcast with 300 followers on Twitter or something like that. And it's like, bro, we know what's going on. You wish you had the Wake Up America show swag, right? You wish that you were a Giga Chad, right? Right? They see AP's success and they're like, how dare you? How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you, Austin? Number 9, of course, and this continues on in this thread, is that they are threatened by you. Yes, they are. They get threatened by you. The presence of somebody with a strong personality can set off people's insecurities really hard, and then they will project those insecurities onto you, thinking that everything you do is a challenge. Thank you, Michael Nitt, for proving the haters wrong. By donating that $5 in the tip jar, you just made someone feel very insecure today about their inability to marshal such an awesome audience like ours. Appreciate you, Michael. Thank you very much for your support, brother. All right, next on the list, their insecurities. People projecting their insecurities onto you. They are threatened by you, right? They will project their insecurities onto you, thinking that everything that you do is a challenge. If they see you studying, they might think you're aiming to try and take their place as the top student or top employee. If they see you doing extremely well at work, they might feel like you're trying to take their position. What do? Try and reassure people by working with them and listening to what they have to say. Share what you learn and try and reassure them in the subtlest way possible that your win is their win too. Alternatively, you can always dunk on them on Instagram and call them out for being trash. Hey, Andy Opperman, dunking on the haters. Thank you so much. We appreciate you very much for the super chat. Brother, you are the man. Super grateful. He says, my favorite quote, I can never be a socialist because I like food more than I hate successful people. That is an awesome quote. We love to hear that very much. How dare you?
How dare
you? How dare you? How dare you? Oh, wrong button. Number 10, they threaten you. Here it is. And yeah, I've got some threats this morning from the Pitbull people. Number 10, they threaten you. Given everything else described in the list, it should be no surprise one way or another that you'll end up having people straight up threaten you. Perhaps it would be something simple like, I'm going to report you to HR, or your post offends me. Take that down or else. But it can also be as bad as outright death threats. You might falter a bit here and consider lightening up a bit on the way you carry yourself, or to back down from whatever got you heat in the first place, and nobody would blame you. But I say fight, rage against the dying of the light. What you should do, consider how serious their threats are and try to de-escalate if it's not something you can just ignore. Don't be afraid to call on the authorities if their threats are severe enough. If you need to, find a way to escape the people threatening you. Some of you might remember my discussion with Shannon Watts of Moms Demand Action for Gun Control. Does everybody remember that interaction where I asked the question, how many kids have to die before I surrender my rights? Answer, all of them. And then Shannon Watts called the FBI, open up! And then I responded to her with my tweet that's epic and on a t-shirt at apforlibertyshop.com right now, where I said, call the cops. I don't give a you know what. Yeah, I think many of you will remember that. You can get that call the cops, I don't give a you know what shirt over at apforlibertyshop.com. Don't forget, only 2 more Donald Trump toilet brushes are left at apforlibertyshop.com. I've had a stalker or two as well, says Camellia. Yes, I have. Yeah, like actually showed up outside my apartment complex back when I was living in Kansas City. She was creepy. Oh yeah, I almost got attacked once, violently attacked at the Free State Project after I had done a debate about debunking like vax conspiracy theories, 9/11 conspiracy theories, and I debunked chemtrails. That was a big one. Like, the libertarians, man, they love them some chemtrails, man. They would be so upset and disappointed, and they are frequently upset and disappointed when I debunk the chemtrail conspiracy theories. What happened to BX? Oh, unfortunately, BX had a little sick kid she had to take care of this morning. Being a mom is more important than being famous on the Wake Up America show. But not for me. Was she at least cute, says Chris Morrill. No. She was not cute. The stalker was not cute. Otherwise, she probably wouldn't have had to be a stalker, don't you think? Don't you think a lot of it comes from latent upsetness about not being born attractive? I gots to go. It's 8:56. Listen, head over to apforlibertyshop.com. Check out some of the great items we have in the store. Stephanie just dropped a really awesome new t-shirt this morning. God Over Government. Really great t-shirt that Maria Krabs requested specifically over at apforlibertyshop.com. So if you are a God worshiper over government, I think you will like it. Steffi, do me a favor, drop that link over here on YouTube so people can go and see it. We made that specifically for Maria because she requested it. But if you're a God-fearing man or woman, then I think you will enjoy it. And if you're any of the other 75 genders, then maybe you won't enjoy it. Depends on what you believe. Head over to apforlibertyshop.com. Check it out. Get your merchandise there. Drop a like before you leave today. I got to say, big thanks so much to our Rumble crowd who are absolutely dominating over there. Nice to see a great big audience. And our friends over on YouTube. Drop a like before you leave and head over to apforlibertyshop.com. Only 2 more Trump toilet brushes available. And we will see you tomorrow on the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com. Bye, guys.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. they don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit apforlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.